USA in the 1930s. A decade of turmoil and transformation. One introduction. The United States in the 1930s, encompassing the years 1929 to 1939, was a period marked by dramatic change and profound challenges. This decade was predominantly defined by the Great Depression, a catastrophic economic downturn, and the subsequent New Deal policies aimed at recovery and reform. It was a time when the American society grappled with unprecedented economic hardships, social upheavals, and began to redefine its role on the global stage. 2. Timeline of key events. 1929. The stock market crash marking the onset of the Great Depression. 1933. Franklin D. Roosevelt's inauguration and the launch of the New Deal. 1935. Implementation of major New Deal programs like the Social Security Act. 1937. The Recession of 1937, a setback in economic recovery. 1939. The end of the decade, with the looming onset of World War II. 3. Historical context. The 1930s in the United States were dominated by the Great Depression, beginning with the stock market crash of 1929. This economic crisis led to massive unemployment, widespread poverty, and significant social distress. The New Deal, initiated by President Franklin D. Roosevelt, represented a series of programs, public work projects, and financial reforms and regulations, which significantly altered the American government's role in the economy and society. 4. Key figures. Franklin D. Roosevelt, 1882 to 1945. 32nd President of the United States, whose New Deal policies reshaped the American economy and government. Herbert Hoover, 1874 to 1964, 31st President under whose term the Great Depression began. Eleanor Roosevelt, 1884 to 1962, influential First Lady known for her advocacy for the New Deal and human rights. V. Main events and milestones. A. The Great Depression. The Great Depression, beginning in 1929, was the most severe economic downturn in modern history, marked by widespread unemployment, bank failures, and business closures. B. Roosevelt's New Deal. Roosevelt's New Deal, starting in 1933, introduced a range of economic and social reforms, including the establishment of the Social Security system, labor rights, and large-scale public works projects. See social and cultural changes. The 1930s witnessed significant social and cultural shifts. The hardships of the Depression influenced American culture, literature, and art, with movements like the Harlem Renaissance gaining prominence. D. Shifts in foreign policy. As the decade ended, the U.S. began to shift its foreign policy stance in response to the growing tensions in Europe and Asia, moving gradually from isolationism towards more active engagement in global affairs. 6. Legacy and impact. The 1930s left an indelible mark on the United States. The New Deal not only addressed immediate economic and social issues, but also laid the groundwork for future government policies. This decade also saw a transformation in the American identity, with a greater emphasis on social welfare, economic regulation, and a shift towards internationalism in foreign policy. 7. Conclusion. The 1930s was a defining decade for the United States, characterized by economic hardship, social change, and significant political shifts. The responses to the challenges of this era, particularly the New Deal, fundamentally reshaped American society and government, echoing into future generations.